what do we do about his request for more men? Don't we have to, if it assumes the proportions that I can see it assuming, shouldn't we say to the Congress, what do you want to do about it?
Well, I would be hate to be the one to say it, because as you said earlier, it's 75,000, then it's 150,000, then it's 300,000. Where do you stop?
You don't.
Where do you stop?
You don't.
I appreciate you joining me for yet another installment of the LBJ tapes. Your comments are helpful to me. Often you will post certain insights, or there's things that I certainly don't know about, or there's things that I miss in the videos. So it's really, really helpful for me, and I appreciate it greatly. So keep the comments coming. If you like these tapes, please watch them all. The playlist link is in the video description. This particular conversation is from 5:05 p.m. the afternoon of June 8, 1965. 4 days earlier had been significant. The U.S. commander in Vietnam, General William Westmoreland, had requested from Johnson an additional 44 battalions of U.S. troops, a request that, if granted, would dramatically expand the U.S. combat presence in Vietnam. In this call, President Johnson is asking Senate Majority Leader Mike Mansfield, Democrat of Montana, for advice on whether to approach Congress about escalating the Vietnam War. 3 days earlier, on the 5th, Mansfield had sent President Johnson a memorandum supporting Johnson's decision to exclude the Hanoi-Haiphong area from bombing and urging Johnson to pursue a negotiated diplomatic solution to the war in Vietnam. Before the call, Johnson had retired to the mansion for an afternoon nap, but unable to sleep, had decided to call Mansfield from his bedroom to discuss a range of issues. So you will hear more than just Vietnam talked about, but it's all inside baseball, which I find interesting. A final note is that you will have picked up on by now, if you've listened to the other tapes, about Johnson frequently employing this technique of telling his caller that other people do not know what Johnson is thinking, or that he hasn't shared or discussed these thoughts with others, so that the caller will feel special. At least that's my assessment. But he does it very, very often. And now, the call.
To stay out there with the forces that I can see building up against it. On the other hand, I don't see exactly the medium for pulling out. And I think that what I'll do is I won't talk to you, and I'll probably talk to McCormick. Rusk doesn't know that I'm thinking this. McNamara doesn't know I'm thinking this. Bundy doesn't. I haven't talked to a human. I'm over here in bed. I just tried to take a nap, get going for my second day, and I couldn't. I just decided I'd call you. But I think I'll say to the Congress that General Eisenhower thought we ought to go in here and do here what we in effect did in Greece and Turkey and so forth. And the Congress thought that we ought to have the Southeast Asia Treaty Organization. We passed it 82-1. And President Kennedy thought we ought to do this. And he sent these people in here. And I have thought that we ought to stay there. But all of my military people tell me, and my economic people, that we cannot do this to the extent of the commitment we have now. It's got to be materially increased. And the outcome is not really predictable at the moment. I don't think I'd use that language, but I would say something that unless we have further augmentation, we cannot be secure. Our 75,000 men are going to be in great danger unless they have 75,000 more. My judgment is, and I'm no military man at all, but I study it every day and every night, and I read the cables. I look back over what's happened in the last 2 years, or the last 4 really, and if they get 150, they'll have to have another 150, and then they'll have to have another 150. So the big question then is, what does the Congress want to do about it under these circumstances? I know what the military wants to do. I really know what I think Rusk and McNamara want to do, Bundy, but I'm not sure, and I think I know what the country wants to do now, but I'm not sure that they want to do that 6 months from now. And I want you to give me your best thinking on it and see how we ought to handle it, if we handle it at all, what we ought to do.
Since our last conversation, I've been doing some thinking and doing some writing, and I'm just, next time I see you, I'll give it to you and send it down to you.
All right.
I'm afraid I'm just as blue as you are, if not bluier.
No. Well, we have, since Taylor left out there, some very bad news on the government. It's not decisive news. It could go either way, but he thought he had it patched up. But the Catholics are kicking overboard, and they're using this little president to cause trouble. And he can't get them to. Westmoreland says that the offensive that he has anticipated, that he's been fearful of, is now on. And he wants people as quickly as he can get them. The Dominican thing is relatively quiet. We think that we did all we could do and exactly what we should have done, and in retrospect we wouldn't change it a bit. But there's been grave doubts cast on it here and around the world. I was a little bit distressed. Our economic aid got whacked some last year, and we asked this year. We haven't got our other, but we have felt that you all felt we ought to be doing a little more that way. And Bill Fulbright's been rather insistent, as you know, that we're not doing enough in that direction. A lot of our folks thought we ought to be talking development and negotiation more than war. But I was a little bit distressed that fellows, the many Republicans voted against his bid yesterday, and particularly men like George Aiken. Do you think it, does he think it, what's his thinking? I haven't seen it, I haven't heard it, I just saw it on the ticker.
Oh, well, he thinks it's too late, and he's tremendously disturbed about the situation in Vietnam. And it's...
we all are.
I know, but I mean, really, and he's made some strong statements, and he just feels it's been a little too late. It's tied in with the 700 million, and he's thinking along that line.
He doesn't think we ought to be doing it. It would be better not to do it. Is that his thinking?
Yeah, that it should have been done before, not now. It's a little bit too late, but that's too late too. But it's in the bill.
Yes, that's right. And of course, we've had a relatively stable government for 90 days, and we had hoped that we could see that for another few months that would permit some of these things. But Unless you can guard what you're doing, you can't do anything. We can't build an airport, by God, much less build an REA line, and it takes more people to guard us than building an airport than it does to build the airport. And the same thing's true. We could use hundreds of millions on economic projects if we could get them built. That's why we had to limit it to just 3 or 4 REA projects and one little dam and things of that kind.
Some people seem to think that we're just building it for the Viet Cong to take over.
Well, it could very well be. It could very well be. But I had the feeling from way Bill Fulbright talked, I don't know whether I sensed it or not, that the feeling on the Hill was that we ought to be doing more of that, and that might be a better answer than the bomb.
Well, there is that feeling. How widespread it is hard to say. But there's a feeling of apprehension and suspense up here that's pretty hard to define, and it's pretty widespread on both sides.
Well, we have it here.
I know you do. But worse.
Do you have any thoughts about the approach that we might make to the Congress? Whether one is wise, and if so, how?
Well, if you make another approach to the Congress, I think really the roof will blow off this time, because people who have remained quiet will no longer remain silent, and I think it would be too much of the same thing being applied too soon, one after the other. You've got the resolution, you've got the $700 million, now you've got the Mekong thing.
Let me interrupt briefly. This is important. Mansfield's reference to the Mekong thing refers to President Johnson's Peace Without Conquest speech at Johns Hopkins University in April 1965, in which he offered the North Vietnamese a $1 billion investment in the development of the Mekong River Basin if North Vietnam would stop its invasion of the South. This development would be similar to the TVA projects that brought electricity to the American South in the 1930s and 1940s. Now, some scholars argue, without much evidence, frankly, that Johnson knew the North Vietnamese would not accept this offer, and that his speech was a ploy to silence domestic and international criticism of the war buildup. I, and some other scholars, are not of that opinion. I have read enough of Johnson's casual and offhanded remarks to others about this Mekong project, plus the amount of time he devoted to the idea and discussing it, to believe that Johnson sincerely thought Ho Chi Minh would accept this offer. And on paper, it was indeed a great offer. Johnson was part of the New Deal in America and heavily invested emotionally and politically in the idea of the prosperity that it did bring America. If I and others are correct about Johnson's sincerity, this offer reflected the great gulf of misunderstanding we Americans had about the fundamental goals and priorities of North Vietnam and their commitment to achieving their political objectives.
If this come up, I think you'd be in for some trouble. The debate could split wide out.
Well, I think you've might have got to have the debate, though, haven't you?
Yes, sir.
Do you think that we ought to send all these troops without a debate?
No, sir. I think that we've got too many in there now, and we've been bombing the North without any appreciable results showing for us in the South. I think that this thing has got to be settled in the South some way. It's not a question of withdrawal. It's not a question of bombing Hanoi or Haiphong. It's just something that's going to take a lot of consideration, a lot of concentration in the South, and something to be done to try and revive, as I know you're trying to, the proposal of Sihanouk for a Cambodian conference dealing with Cambodia only.
But what do we do about his request for more men? Don't we have to, if it assumes the proportions that I can see it assuming, shouldn't we say to the Congress, what do you want to do about it?
Well, I would be hate to be the one to say it, because, as you said earlier, it's 75,000, then it's 150,000, then it's 300,000. Where do you stop?
You don't.
When
That's
do
right.
you stop?
You don't. I mean, it looks like to me, I don't see where to me, it's shaping up like this, Mike. You either get out or you get in. I don't think there's much more neutral. I think we've tried all the neutral things, and we think they are winning. Now, if we think they're winning, you can imagine what they think.
Yes, they know they're winning.
And if they know that, you can see that they're not anxious to find any answer to it.
That's right.
Now, what do we do under those circumstances? We seem to have tried everything that we know to do. I stayed here for over a year when they were urging us to bomb before I'd go beyond the line. I have stayed away from their industrial targets and their civilian population, although they urge you to do it.
Yeah, but Hanoi and Haiphong are stripped clean and have been for months. And you bomb them, you get nothing. You just build up more hatred. You get these people tied more closely together because they are tied by blood, whether from the north or the south.
I think that's true, and I think that you've done nearly everything that you can do except make it a complete white man's war.
And if you do that, then you might as well say goodbye. All of Asia and to most of the world.
Well, I think that's probably, I think that's right. Therefore, where do you go?
Well, you don't go ahead, because if you do, then you revive your figures of what happens when you confront China. You don't pull out. You try to do something to consolidate your position in South Vietnam. And that may take more troops. Certainly will take more Vietnamese, I think, when
they're getting more of them in, Mike, but they're going out the other end. They're deserting just like flies.
When McNamara speaks about 300,000 American troops against Job's 31 divisions in North Vietnam, that's the absolute minimum.
Yes, he knows that.
When he speaks about 160,000 being increased through conscription in the Vietnamese army, he knows he isn't telling the truth because they're not coming. As you say, they're in and they're out.
Well, they have been coming, but he thinks he's telling the truth because the government assures him they'll stop them, but they can't do it. And the government goes under trying to do it, just like that's what happened to Reed in the Dominican Republic. He's trying to have an honest government, trying to get rid of the generals, and he did too much of it. And what's happening out there, Quad is trying to, his enlistments are up and have been going well. But they just go out of the bottom of it, and they haven't been able to find a way to have a government strong enough to stop the desertions. That's what Taylor told us this morning. I don't know quite how to approach this, Mike, so far as the Congress is concerned, before we make up our mind. When we take it much further than you and McCormick, you know what I get into with the discussions and so forth. On the other hand, while Taylor's here and before he goes back, if we thought that we could get any help or any advice that we could follow that we think could be worthy, I'd like to, I don't know whether they want to be exposed to him, but I'd like to be exposed to their thinking, their judgments. Do you have any feeling it would be better to just let him go up before Foreign Relations and Armed Services, or would it be better just to have some of the representative ones of them here? You've got every conflict in the world, from you to Russell Long, and from Mendel Rivers to Doc Morgan. And in our own party, it's pretty well divided. Do you have any thinking about what would be the wisest thing to do there?
If you're going to see anybody, you ought to see them all. And that is on those
You mean
committees.
Yes.
And there's no reason why they can't meet jointly to discuss the situation and maybe some good would come out of it, but if you start picking out a select few, then I think you're asking for trouble, because others will feel they've been left out, and they'll get grumpy, to put it mildly.
Would your thought then be that it would be best to ask Russell and Fulbright to have a joint hearing with him and do the same on the House side, and we'll have this all in the papers then?
Well, if you see a few, it's going to get in the papers. I mean, how could you pick out the 3 or 4 or 5 and not expect it to leak?
Well, we do reasonably well with these leadership meetings.
Well,
I mean, your judgment, you can see it better than I do. Do you think they leak much?
not the leadership meetings, but the meetings too, or...
I mean the joint ones like we had on the Dominican Republic the other night.
No.
I thought he was pretty good.
Very good. Very good.
Dirksen and Hickenlooper and Aiken are good, and of course I don't know. It may be the thing we want to do is let me talk to McCormick. Maybe the thing we wanted, and then I'll see what happens here tomorrow and the next day. He's going back about Saturday, Sunday.
Oh.
And do you have any feeling about Taylor coming out? Is that going to be a little difficult for us?
It'll be a little difficult. I have more feeling about Lodge going in, to tell you the truth, because I don't think there's any comparison between the two. And Lodge is not well loved on the Hill.
No, but he is...
And he's tied in somewhere with CM. That was the big mistake.
They like him better out there than anybody we've had, number one. And number two, my people tell me that he is less likely to get us in an Asian war than Taylor. That he is much more flexible, and he does not politically, and he likes to talk it out rather than fight it out.
Well,
that's pretty appealing these days. And he's experienced, and he has the language, and they like him. And he gets along pretty well with the Catholics, pretty along with the Buddhists. And to start all over with a new man's pretty rough.
That's true. That's true.
Sir?
It has to be done, I guess.
No, it doesn't. We can do anything that looks better.
No, I don't.
We've had Rusk and McNamara and Bobby Kennedy and all of them offer to go, and Mac Bundy, but I don't believe any of them are in either Lodge's or Taylor's class. I believe we have more militarism under Taylor, although he is a mild man and is not a militarist himself. I believe that he feels he would vote with them more than Lodge. Lodge is one that goes this economic stuff, you know, that Bill's talking all the time. And of course, I thought maybe Aiken was against us a little bit because he didn't like Lodge. Did that have something to do with his feeling, you think?
He doesn't like Lodge.
Fulbright kept shoving Lodge the other night and arguing with me on it and demanding we kind of do it, and I kind of indicated, all right, we'll try some of this if you want us to, and I could see Aiken kind of not liking it.
No, he doesn't like Lodge. It runs pretty deep, too.
Before I let you go, you think about it. Don't talk to anybody, but just give your best thoughts, and we'll talk tomorrow.
Well, once again, thank you so much for watching these videos. I really enjoy your comments. Keep them coming, and I will continue to deliver more content.